Welcome to Tombstone Tourist. Today, we're going to be reacting to the dark reality of Andrew Tate's rise to fame. We're also going to be giving our opinions on the current situation as far as the raid and allegations go towards the end of the video. So make sure you stay tuned from that. We would also like to give a special shout out to Patrick CC, where we pulled the original content from. Go ahead, make sure you at least give a comment to his channel. Tell him Tombstone Tourist sent you there. I'm Rugburn.
I'm Pickled Landon.
And today we will also have our producer chiming in, Shumba.
What's up, guys?
All right, so guys, you guys ready to get into this?
I'm ready. You ready, Shumba?
I'm ready.
Andrew Cobra Tate is currently the most viral person in the world. More people are searching for him than Kim Kardashian, the NHL, Joe Biden, and the entire country of Romania, which is where he currently resides. He gained over 2 million followers in the past few weeks, and that doesn't even represent how much dominance he's had over all of social media in the past few months. Why? Well, every couple of years, social media gets introduced to a new self-proclaimed alpha male, red pill finance expert who flaunts his lifestyle and work ethic, who is idolized by a community of other males online. But Andrew is not just a typical phony that's pretending to be something he's not for a little bit of YouTube views and Instagram followers. He really is a multimillionaire. He really is a kickboxing world champion, but he's also accused of being a money-laundering Romanian mafia ally who runs a global sex trafficking business while selling his Make Money Fast course, dubbed Hustlers University, to his millions of followers. Most videos covering Tate just focused on the surface level stuff he says for views.
If my chick said, I want to do OnlyFans, I'm like, all right, then cool, go do it. How much you made? 10 grand, all right, give me 8. All right, cool. All right.
What woman is going to give you 8 grand?
Because you're my woman, you're doing OnlyFans, you're selling my product.
Your product.
Yes,
The
correct.
woman, it's not
Next
your
question.
possession. No.
That's the world we live in now. Females are entitled and fucking lazy. Another thing I learned is that women are only loyal to the dick or something.
Wow. So I just want to start by saying, like, I think phrasing might help his case in a lot of situations. That's
audacious.
It's hyper aggressive. I can see why women are not messing with that aggressive of a message,
Or at least not most women that we know.
See, but I mean, that's what's interesting about Tate to me, is this man is legitimately a lethal fucking weapon. Like, this man legitimately did kickboxing and all that, and he was damn fucking good at it. So to me, at least, I can see in his head how he sees that, like, maybe he doesn't see it as like completely okay or anything like that, but he thinks he can get away with it because he knows he can back up everything he says.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with not results. It's hard to argue with success. But when he does it this way, it's easy to start an argument.
It's unpalatable.
It's unpalatable.
All right, let's
Honestly,
keep it going.
real quick, like, that's kind of a double-edged. It's gonna end up being a double-edged sword with him, because when you say so much flagrant shit because it is true, it's kind of difficult to disprove the like shady stuff you do as well.
Yeah. Do you think it's also to just kind of like stir the pot? Like, do you think it's fundamentally at the end of the day, this is just how he stirs the pot?
I think it's a business move.
People talking.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we're talking about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, marketing.
He says these shocking and bewildering ideals to get a rise out of people. Those reactions, whether they're good or bad, lead to more views and obviously fame and followers. A strategy as old as time.
I know exactly what I'm talking about all of the time.
He isn't playing a character, he does believe what he says, but the way he says these things is calculated. You can find hours and hours of content where he sits down and talks about things like, should you let your girlfriend go to the club? And can your girlfriend have a guy best friend? But I want to go deeper.
No.
Where does this behavior come from?
Elaborate.
Hey, all I'm saying is, them guy best friends, they want the cheeks. Let's be honest here.
Have you ever been the guy in the DMs after the girl with the boyfriend?
Oh, yeah. I've been the guy who's been fucking the guy's girl.
So
because I was the best friend. No, it's a story as old as time. Are you fucking kidding me? I've been on both sides.
So would you say that's something that maybe a lot of people subconsciously, we'll say men in relationships, that they feel uncomfortable about, is their girlfriends or their wives having work besties, male best friends?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I think it's because, like, as men, we know, like, what they're after. So see that, gosh,
it's the way he says it.
It's the way he says it, because sometimes he'll say things you're like, I kind of get it, and then immediately he'll follow it with some really flagrant stuff, and you're like,
because there's a difference between
whoa.
saying you're not allowed to have a male best friend versus saying, hey, you have a male best friend, there needs to be boundaries. You guys can't be alone, this and that, or at least talk about it.
Yeah, like you can't be like, don't ever talk to a man, like it's whatever. But like, yeah, if a dude is sending your girl a good morning text, I'm here to tell you, like, he's after those cheeks. Like, don't be stupid.
Yeah, there is behavior that would lead you to sometimes.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if I'm texting you good morning and you're a female, I'm trying to smash.
But I do think it's very audacious to just say you're not allowed to have any friends of the opposite sex.
I can agree to that. You should be able to socialize, but like, see, that's what I mean. It's like if he needs to elaborate more on that
he's
statement.
Talking about boundaries in a relationship, which every relationship has boundaries. It's the way he says it. Like,
I agree.
I established the boundaries.
Why does he have all these shocking allegations against him? Let's take a look at the dark side of Andrew Tate. Andrew's father, Emery Tate, was described by his peers as somewhat of a superhero. He was a staff sergeant in the US Air Force. He was fluent in Russian, Spanish, German, and English, a martial artist as well. But most notably, he was a chess international master who had many victories over grandmasters. A grandmaster is the highest level you can achieve as a chess player. To this day, the chess world is confused why he was never officially a GM when he met all of the qualifications. Emery was a trailblazer and inspiration for black chess players around the world. Unfortunately, chess doesn't pay the bills. Emery was poor. He competed in tournaments and pickup games in the park for money to get to his next location or next meal. He raised his 3 children to think.
Now, that level of hustle, like what they're describing currently, I could see where Andrew and Tristan might have picked up on that and maybe just taken it in a different direction. Because right here we're talking about how his father would go to the park to make money off of chess because chess wasn't profitable. And that, in my opinion, that like shows an entrepreneur-esque mindset that not everybody possesses. A lot of people either have it or they don't. It's not necessarily something that you can just make happen.
Yeah, he's while he wasn't successful, I think it's clear that Emery, his father, was very intelligent. He spoke several languages. He was really good at chess, and he decided to live a life using the skill set that he was given, even if it didn't pay him a lot. But he also taught his kids, and I'm not saying this to defend Andrew or his brother, but he did lay out and give them skills that they would later use to do the things that they're doing now. Specifically the chess thing, he taught them tactics.
Chess is one of those games where it teaches you to be thinking not the next move, but 3-4 moves ahead of them.
Exactly. And to accept no-win scenarios, and to learn how to take loss, and several other things that come into play when you're dealing with businesses and dealing with overhead costs and possibly failed businesses, how to just keep going and keep striving. That's an admirable trait from a father, like how they kind of talked about. He was seen as a bit of a superhero.
So possibly it was just a little bit misconstrued.
I'm not going to lie. I also didn't know Andrew Tate was half black until I watched this video.
I gotta admit, I didn't either, to be honest. It was kind of a shocker to me.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Like him. Think of life like a chess match. Every move is calculated, knowing what 1, 2, or even 10 moves will come after that. Emery was nomadic, multicultural, and free. He encouraged his children to be the same way. Andrew grew up in Gary, Indiana, notoriously one of the worst places in America. He took a liking to chess. At age 5, he was an Indiana state champion. At 6 years old, he was playing against 3 10-year-olds and winning. Then at age 11, his parents got divorced, and his mother moved him and the kids to Luton, England. This is where he would grow up. Living with his mother meant that he no longer had a chess coach. He no longer spent 3 to 4 hours a day with his dad learning strategy. All he had was his younger brother Tristan, which altered his life path immensely.
So we can kind of talk about that a little bit. Everyone likes to say that he's from England. I thought this was interesting because it points out that he spent the first 10 years of his life living in Chicago or Gary, Indiana, right? And they point out that it's a really, really horrible place to live. One of the worst rated places.
I would go out on a limb and say the poor start in the bad area, right? I would go ahead and say that possibly gave him more drive to want to be successful and go the path that to kind of give Andrew this win by any means, no matter, like, forget morals, I need to win. Like, it might have given him that mindset because you know how it is. maybe the poor people or like the less fortunate people are more likely to strive for success or be more determined, have more drive, as opposed to someone who was born with a silver spoon in their mouth because they've never known what it's been like to not have that. So maybe that also has some to do with the culmination of his attitude.
I think it definitely reinforces the hustler attitude that he tries to portray, whether that's a histrionic or just excessive characterization of something that he really feels. But you can see, like I said, I'm not trying to justify who he is now, but you can kind of see the early version of him was in a high stress environment when he was young. He had a really good dad that taught him a lot. And then he separated from his father at the age of 10. Now it's just him, his brother, and his mom. And I think that's formed some of the trauma that maybe he hides or that he uses this fame, the muscles, the fighting and everything to cover up, because they point out how intelligent he is. Like we can say what we want about the man, but I would never call him stupid. They point out that he was a chess champion at 5 and competing against 10-year-olds.
Right.
So we can't say that he's dumb. It's almost like his path he's almost like an Anakin Skywalker character, as much as I hate to say it, where he had innate ability. He was intelligent. He had a good dad to teach him stuff. And then, as much as I hate to say it, a high stress environment growing up like that will, like you said, it will cause you to have more ambition, more drive. Because
so you're saying it put him into like a super villain role almost?
In a villain role that he chose, in a way that he chose, because, and they get to that later, because...
Well, let's not jump too far.
Yeah, let's not jump too far.
Hold on. I see exactly what you're saying there. And that's why I say, like, I don't think that him saying all the wild stuff that he says isn't unthought of. You know what I mean? I think it's a calculated move that he is making, knowing the reaction that he'll get, especially with whatever goal he's trying to get. If it's billions of dollars, that's how he's going to get it.
That's the chess player in him.
Right.
That's the chess champion that's been bred into him from his father.
Well, I think he also sees the opportunity to, in talking like that, just because of how much like the feminine movement has been moving to the yes, bitch, like, the be promiscuous, do this, that, and the third. So the natural reaction of that is that you have men thinking these like-minded thoughts as him, which is going to cause him to rise. And he was just smart enough to manipulate that and take that to his advantage, because he knows that with women being more promiscuous and with women having more freedom and things like that, that there's an opening in an audience for people that dislike that and have a disdain for it.
Right.
He's very aware of his presence, and he knows how to get himself out there. But I think that's, again, I'm not trying to like make him sound like somebody that he's not, but I think in his early life, like going back to that, I think that he was given everything that he needed to succeed. Not necessarily from like a silver spoon standpoint, but I think just natural, like the way the world rolled out for him, the high stress environment, the good dad, and then just kind of being born with like a...
Possibly. There are a lot of people that grow up in poor communities and never become anything either. So it does take a certain type of person regardless.
He picked up fighting around age 15, which became his new passion. Fighting and chess are similar in 2 ways. Each sport is a one-on-one battle between 2 people. There's basically no luck involved. Every move, movement, punch, and piece move needs to be calculated. Your opponent must react based on your choice. The biggest difference is that fighting is obviously physically demanding and mentally challenging, whereas chess is only mental. Because of his chess background, he was already mentally ready. As he grew tall and strong, he obeyed his trainer and worked to become a 6'4", 200-pound kickboxing mixed martial artist. In the early 2000s, he fought in an MMA league and a kickboxing league. He had a 3-2 amateur record in the MMA Ultimate Warrior Challenge in the UK. In his pro MMA debut, he knocked out Shane Kavanaugh. However, he stuck to kickboxing since he made more money from it. In his International Sport Kickboxing Association career, he lost his first 2 fights, then went on a 4 consecutive win streak before getting a title shot against Paul Randall in 2009. He won the Cruiserweight Championship in this bout, then he defeated Daniel Hughes for the IKF Cruiserweight title. But before social media dominated our world, someone like Andrew had to resort to more classic media like radio and TV to get his name out there and promote fights. Around 2009, he explored the world of reality TV. The Ultimate Traveler was the first show Andrew appeared on. The concept was 6 amateur backpackers competing for $12,000 by trying to navigate Indonesian challenges with no knowledge of the country. On this show, it was clear Andrew was the same guy he is now, just not a millionaire.
Me and her have completely opposite trade-offs, and she wants the executive class and you know, and a nice hotel, etc. And she expects me to front that with my travel of the week money, but I'm not going to. Chloe's really broke, and she keeps dropping hints, but it doesn't matter how many hints she drops. I'm not going to spend money unless I want to.
His brother Tristan.
That episode's actually really interesting, and I find the cuts kind of interesting because if you go and watch that episode, he seems like he's talking like a dickhead right there, and I don't think it's Patrick himself. I've seen the same type of edit done on multiple reportings of that same show, but if you watch that episode, like in these challenges they're given, it's kind of like The Amazing Race. You're given X amount of money dropped off into a country, and then you're supposed to get like from point A to point B, and you only have that money unless you win a challenge. Well, the team that he was on, he was trying to save as much money as possible, so he would try to get like the cheapest meals that he could find, stuff like that.
So he's always been very money savvy is kind of what you're getting at.
Exactly. And the chick that he was with was constantly just trying to spend on the most expensive hotel rooms, the most expensive drinks and all that. And then she ran through all of her money. And then the rest of the episode was her just literally begging this dude for money because he had so much money left, quote unquote.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not arguing that he doesn't make sense sometimes. I'm arguing that he's a douche.
I'm not arguing for the fact that he is not a douche.
Yeah. But the money thing makes sense. Like, I mean, if we were going to travel across Indonesia, wouldn't it make sense to save as much money as possible?
Well, playing devil's advocate here.
Of course.
So far in the 5 minutes of this video we've watched, right? Mm-hmm. I personally don't think he's done anything out of pocket yet.
Correct.
Big emphasis on the yet. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to take your girl to the most expensive hotel, especially if you know that the money's not there at the moment. There's nothing wrong. Like in a fast society where like expectations are at an all-time high and you're just supposed to be, and it's a very instant gratification kind of society, it's smart to have the foresight to be like, we don't need things like that now.
Right. And of course, there's going to be things that come up that are going to most likely change our opinion, considering we're still talking about his young life.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm saying yet just because we're not all the way through the video. But right. As of right now, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with telling your girl, no, we cannot stay at the most expensive hotel.
Well, that's the thing. It wasn't even his girl. It was just another contestant.
See, so that makes it even more entitled from her part.
Right.
So, yeah. It's interesting.
Path was on Shipwrecked, an island survival reality show. The two became go-tos in Europe reality TV for producers that needed tenacious and cocky young men. He got a shot at the ISKA World Light Heavyweight title on a 3-day notice against Frenchman Jean Benoit. He lost. However, his team submitted a video of the fight and demanded a
I just want to interject really quick. A 3-day heads up, I gotta admit, that's letting your nuts hang.
For real.
A 3-day heads up on a fight. I got to commend him for at least that.
I have to give him
too.
the commendation. Yeah, that's hard to do.
I know I'd be afraid with 3 days heads up in a professional fighting. I'd be sweating.
Yeah, I mean, they train for months, don't they, to get in peak shape to fight for 5 minutes at a time?
Peak fighting shape and just being in shape are two different things. Absolutely. Like, that is scary as hell. Like, I'll give him his flowers on this one because, like, oh my God, that's stressful.
Especially not to mention that he was still doing the reality TV circuit when he got the call to do this fight.
Yeah, and this is, I just want everyone to know I'm going to be 100% objective in everything. I will give people their flowers when they deserve it, and I'll take them right away when they don't deserve that.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with pointing out just because somebody is viewed in a negative light. Like, I don't view him in a positive light, but I can't just take everything that he's done. That'd be like saying, okay, Michael Jackson's horrible.
Because that's taking away freedom of speech in a way.
Exactly. Well, if we can argue that Michael Jackson is probably a horrible person, but does that make his music bad?
I mean, at a certain point, you do have to separate the artist from the art.
You do. But, like, I don't think we're there yet. Like, what I'm saying is, like, to commend people for their capability, like, their abilities to do things. Like, to go and fight on a 3-day notice and then to still give up a challenge, whether you like this person or not. Like, maybe a better example is Floyd Mayweather. Like, I have to always give Floyd Mayweather his flowers, regardless of how I feel about him as a person, because he is a talented boxer.
This is a world title, and this means that I am the best kickboxer in the world. Now, because I'm so cool, I actually have 2 world titles at 2 different weights.
This is marketing right here, because I think he's aware that some men lack that confidence, and they're living vicariously through this kind of like arrogant, bigger than life personality that they don't possess in their day-to-day life. You know, they're sitting in their basement playing World of Warcraft, wiping their Cheeto fingers like all over the keyboard and stuff, and you have this guy who is just a manly man that they're aspiring to be, like, because they wish they had that level of confidence. I see the sales pitch in it.
I see the sales pitch, and again, I hate to have to do the flowers thing. He's a complete douche, even right here. I find it hard to watch this. It's unpalatable. But he was the world champion. It's easy to see how he's able to like work his way into these, into this population's head, whatever you want to call it, this group of people. You said living vicariously through other men, people trapped in their homes, you know, not able to fully realize themselves. And they see this guy,
and they're living through him.
Yeah, and he sees that they see that he's apt. He's a tactician, so he's like, I'm going to market that. Kickboxers don't get paid a lot. You know, he's being driven out here to do all these things. That's why he's on the reality circuit. That's why he's taking any job that he can. It sounds almost like even he took the boxing match out of a need for money, or the kickboxing match out of a need for money, knowing he was probably going to lose, not having the training time, just because he needed the dough.
Makes sense.
You know, it's almost like if you just paid UFC fighters more, they wouldn't go out and turn into supervillains.
I think specifically for this one, it was more about the title, because him winning this fight gave him that second belt.
Yeah. And he makes all these claims, not like he's not like the Dan Bilzerian of UFC fighters. He's legitimately holding belts that are real.
Yeah.
That he defended. They said multiple times. So it's like that douchey kid like that has the WWE belts, but he really can beat your ass. So you can't fight him. You just have to sit there and take it, and it's annoying.
So while you're best in the world at nothing, you're not even the best in your town at anything. I'm the best in the world. Twice.
Andrew knew he was losing the love for fighting, but he was clearly worried that his life would spiral out of control if he didn't have enough money to keep him from being bored.
If I had enough money to constantly entertain myself, unless I'm a billionaire, I need something that keeps me focused and keeps me occupied in life.
It was time to build his empire. In 2015, he quit fighting to solely focus on making money. He sat down with his brother Tristan and said, "How can we get rich?" They spent countless hours on YouTube, researching the Federal Reserve, banking institutions, inflation, investing, and how money works. One day while scrolling through the internet, he saw an ad, "Talk to Live Girls Now," which brought him to a live stream where you can communicate with a real woman. He immediately realized the opportunity of creating a webcam business because he conveniently had 6 girlfriends in different countries. Evidently, being a world-class athlete gets women very interested in you, even if you aren't rich. He told them all to fly to London because he had a business proposal. When they got there, they all looked at each other shocked. 2 of them felt betrayed and left. 4 of them heard
Homie's playing the fucking Bachelor involuntarily. Like, he's like, surprise, you're on Bachelor in Paradise or whatever. Like, you all been competing for me. Like,
I think it's crazy that he got this whole idea from probably clicking the live cam service himself. Like, I'm bored. I'm out here researching. Well, I just spent 10 grand looking at stuff on the internet. Maybe I can get my 6 girlfriends to come down here and fight each other.
That's very likely. Honestly, I could see that.
his business plan, and only 2 of them stayed. So it was just the Tate brothers and their 2 girls. The girls would do their thing on camera, chat with the men. They had a keyboard that was unplugged, but Andrew would sit behind the computer off camera and talk to the men in the live chat, pretending to be the girls, and they would do things or say things in exchange for money. He said he was generating around $3,000 per day.
And once the girls learned they could do it themselves, then I thought, I need some more chicks.
In order to grow his business efficiently, he needed to hire women who would offer themselves for his service, but not have the ambition or expertise to build a website, run ads to get traffic, then converse with men online, maintain their finances, pay for the internet, and all the overhead that goes along with running an online business.
A cam girl is much more a therapist than she is a porn star. Like, she can make so much money from showing her whatever, but she makes the big money from making these guys like her, being funny, banter.
Basically, he was building what exists on Twitch today in the hot tub section. At his peak, he had 75 women working for him at 4 different locations. However, this was a huge mistake, according to him.
75 women worked for me at the peak of it all. But that was a mistake, because when you have a bunch of girls working for you like that, the only way you can motivate them is with money. When I started, the girls worked for me because they loved me. right? That's the old school pimp game, isn't it?
Downsizing to just 8 women, 4 of which were his girlfriends, and 4 were his brother Tristan's girlfriends, was when they all worked together to make the most money they ever had. Since they were all motivated and, in his words, in love with him, they were able to generate $400,000 per month with his online cam business.
When a girl worked for me, it was 50-50.
So the girls who loved me and worked for me, my main girlfriends, they'd get probably around 20% of their money.
Was it 20 or 50? What was he paying them? Was it shifting?
I think it varies from girl to girl.
Was it like if they were dating him? You got more if you were dating him? I don't know. Because he told 2 different numbers there. Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
I mean, he was like, 50-50. And then he was like, I'd probably pay him 20%. Maybe at this point he was just like, you know what? If they see the videos, I don't care. I'm going to let them know what you're really getting paid. It's not 50-50.
Percent of the money they made.
Some people immediately look at this and think, well, he's a pimp, insinuating that these women are afraid of him and he's forcing them into doing work that they don't want to do.
People have this idea that, oh, you're a pimp, you just get these girls, you say work, and they're scared of you and they just work. It's bullshit. I was doing this in London. A girl could have walked out the door any day, called the police on me any day, and they didn't. They wanted to be with me because they genuinely understood that their life was better if they obeyed me.
Olivia, Jesus Christ, I was the second man.
The obey word is really, I feel like,
spicy.
a poor choice in vocabulary on that, because it sounded less like a hot take prior to saying the obey me thing, because he was like, they could leave whenever they want. They obey me. It's like, oof. You kind of like you were fighting a fight for yourself. You were kind of like defending yourself a little bit, and then as soon as you said obey, it kind of switched into the more like, ooh, what?
Start to lean into that Tom Cruise on the couch stuff, where you're like,
Honestly, at this point, I think they're playing a game. I think they know they want to start building up towards Hustler University. They because he said that it's difficult to motivate the women without more money, and they're doing this all for money. So I'm thinking that at this point they're starting to say, pretty much whatever, so they can start getting eyes on them.
I also got a very Tom Cruise vibe, like I said.
Okay, I don't understand that one. What are you talking about? You're going to have to elaborate, because they were just like, it was an old dude dating a young girl. I don't get it all what you're saying.
With Tom Cruise? No, this was a long time ago.
No, I know. The Katie Holmes thing, the girl that was in Batman.
She was saying that she felt like that she was...
Everything that this man is about to say. Allegedly.
Mr.
Tom Cruise.
Allegedly, Mr. Tom Cruise had Katie Holmes in the home against her will. But that's what was being argued in court. We don't know.
I'm not familiar with that at all. I'm not going to feign like I do.
That's fine. But it just like I said, like the way people were starting to feel about Tom Cruise is the way I'm starting to feel about Andrew Tate watching this video.
It's a very hot take.
Man, she ever in her whole life, man. It hurt her at every moment I was doing it, but it felt good for me, so who gives a shit?
Andrew uses strong words like obey me, which is what tends to get him in trouble a lot. His strong diction indicates he is totalitarian and dictator-like, but some people argue that he just speaks as clearly and directly as he can. If he said, "My girls trusted my ambition and leadership," people might not be as shocked. But when you read what he wrote on his website, it insinuates that his girlfriends were coerced into working for him and maybe didn't leave because of fear. I've had over 75 girls work for me, and my business model is different than 99% of webcam studio owners. Over 50% of my employees were actually my girlfriend at the time, and none were in the adult entertainment industry before they met me. Sadly, in 2015, Emery Tate passed away unsuspectedly during a chess match in California. He was 56 years old. May he rest in peace.
That man died playing chess. He loved it so much. Just wanted to point that out. He loved chess.
Now retired from fighting, he needs to occupy his time. He gets invited to do the show Big Brother UK for its 17th season. The format of the show is very similar to a typical reality series. A bunch of contestants in a house. They have to do challenges to maintain a status in the house. One person gets voted out each week until the last person ends with a cash prize. But we all know the challenges are like 10% of why people watch, and 90% is for the drama, relationships, toxicity, and chaos that comes with strangers living together. After just 7 days on the show, he was booted off. Andrew says it's because the producers were afraid of a physical altercation taking place, in which obviously Tate would destroy the other men in the house. However, there was a video made public that shocked a lot of people and got him kicked off the show.
You message one other guy ever again, whether we're together or not. You understand me? Do you understand me? Did I say the word listen? Did I say the word listen? Stupid bitch.
Tate said that a part of the video was cut out where they were laughing and joking, making him look bad. He also provided a video of the same girl and her response to the outrage on social media, leading people to believe that it was consensual.
What side are you thinking is true? Do you think it was master editing to make him look bad? You think he was abusing the woman? What's y'all's take, guys? What are we looking at right here? After watching that little clip,
I think it was more the editing that made it look bad. I can fully believe that it was consensual, especially because of the company that he keeps. You know, he runs an online sex company, right? Mm-hmm. And normally in those industries, porn industry, sex industry, stuff like that, it's not uncommon for this to be people's thing.
So you're saying in a way you think there's a possibility. Now, I'm not saying you 100% agree, but you're saying there's a possibility it could have been some BDSM-esque
correct
style thing.
I think it's more of an insight into what gets him off than it is into whether this was an incident of it, because he's role-playing it is what I think. But it's a scenario. It's a fantasy, you know. So I think that definitely.
So your take is similar to Shumba's, where it's very much so some BDSM-esque stuff, possibly.
Yeah, exactly. What about you? What do you think?
I think he should have somewhat known this being a possible outcome, but I can also see the take where it's like, this is a possible sexual act between two grown adults. So I don't know. Overall, I kind of think maybe he just shouldn't have been willing to do something more risky like that in the.
Now you say the
house.
Foresight thing, right? I'm just going to go back to what Shumba said earlier, and what you touched upon a little bit. Is it planned? The way that he acts, is it on purpose? Like, was this
the man at 5 years old was taught to play a very tactical game, and then he went on as a young man to be a performer in reality TV. Most of what you see in reality TV isn't really real. Like, they think about what they're going to do and say on that show, and essentially what he's doing now is just living reality TV in real life.
So you think it was just him attempting to go viral before going viral was necessarily the thing, kind of, in a way?
Sacrificing the win from Big Brother for exposure.
I'm not necessarily saying that. I don't know whether or not he or anyone in his team leaked the video. I'm not sure how the video got out. I think what was going on in the video is just something that either he was into or the woman that he was with was into, and that's just something that they do. Mm-hmm. Now, on the perspective of behind closed doors and stuff, I'm personally in the camp of, if it's between two consenting adults and it's not harming anybody else, have your fun type deal. So I can't really judge the man or the woman in this for wanting to take part in that, because I'm not going to yuck anyone's yum.
Yeah, I could get behind that. Everyone's entitled to their sexual liberation, and that's completely okay. I would have definitely kept it a little more vanilla for something that I knew I was in a recording house. But, like, again, maybe he was attempting to go viral before going viral was a thing. So
I find some of it suspicious. That's what leads me to not, in my head, to take a step away from it and look at it, is because he says, if I catch you texting other guys again, you're effing dead.
That could also still be a part of getting in the role play, but that was part of the video that kind of made me be like, ooh.
Mm-hmm. Maybe she wants a controlling man.
Yeah, and that's something we just need more information on to give.
It's contextually missing information.
A little bit, yeah. It definitely looks bad. You show that clip to someone, that's very cancelable, especially in 2023, 2022. Very cancelable.
Absolutely.
Behavior.
For me to see that video is far more violent. I would almost expect more screaming and stuff like that.
And the belt was hitting her butt too, if you look at how he was bending her over in that first clip. So that's kind of why I'm also somewhat leaning towards, I think they were two consenting adults, because if she was really trying to fight, but again,
coupled with the video that came out afterwards,
yeah,
the pictures that she posted saying that it was consensual, like, it's kind of hard to make the case that it wasn't, especially when both parties are saying no, it was.
I think it caught a lot of negative traction, A, because it looks bad on video, and then B, because of the way he conveys his messages.
Correct.
Making it look even worse.
Right. And that's just, again, whether it's a mastermind plan by this guy or he's just
lucky
and dumb. Yeah.
Are you gonna do it like a man this time?
What do you mean like a man this time? Last time I beat you.
Pussy last time.
Like a pussy.
Yeah.
I beat you so bad, I've been called a woman beater all over the f***ing country.
Well, to me that was like a pussy. You need to do it like a real man. Or stop taking a belt off.
Regardless, Tate was increasing his reach. His social media started growing slowly but surely. Twitter became his new vehicle to stay relevant, and the cam business was making him rich. The next major business move for the Tate brothers was cryptocurrency.
So I was buying Bitcoin when they were $3,000 with my webcam money. Tens of thousands of dollars of Bitcoin. My net worth would be half of what it is if I'd never invested in cryptocurrency. But at the time, I didn't see it as an investment. I was in a world where the people I was dealing with took crypto. It was easier for me to take their crypto than to take big.
So what they're kind of saying here, or what I'm picking up from that, from Tristan, is if we looked out into some dumb money, is what that was. It wasn't a smart investment move necessarily. Like, I mean, yeah, foresight, yeah, it's a smart investment move, but like they weren't looking at it as that, like he just said. It was just kind of like, yeah, we looked into thousands on thousands of dollars on some. We were just so happened to take this as payment, and it made us filthy rich.
It's also kind of begs the question of why the people would only be taking crypto at the time. This was before the crypto boom. It's almost like he was admitting without admitting to shady practices. That's not kind of what I take from it personally.
In the past, like up until very, very recently when crypto took off, which is when their net worth would have exploded and they would have actually seen it as a business opportunity. Before that, using crypto was really just for shady stuff.
Bank payments.
They didn't buy into crypto because they were savvy investors. They insinuated that the business people they were dealing with preferred to use an untraceable and encrypted payment method. Spending tens of thousands of dollars of Bitcoin led them to getting filthy rich, kind of by accident. For the next couple of years, Andrew casually flaunted his lifestyle on Instagram while being very openly supportive of Donald Trump and the MAGA community. He has been seen having dinners and meetings with famous right-wing journalists and politicians. Obviously, this made him a lot of enemies online and became the self-proclaimed king of toxic masculinity. However, he ran into a major problem that almost destroyed his cam business. Tate owned a 10-bedroom house that became the workspace for these women. He kept food and alcohol in the house so that they could loosen up for work.
The girls used to drink, and this one girl drank too much wine. She threw up everywhere. I told her to clean up. She started giving me some attitude, so I took all her shit, threw out the window. Got her 2 arms, took her ass, put her outside my door.
The girl demanded that he pay her the 1,000 euros that she was owed, and he didn't. Then 3 months later, at 5 o'clock in the morning, the English police raided his house. They took $100,000 worth of electronics, computers, cameras, and phones, and opened an investigation on him. Apparently, the woman just said that he hit her, and that prompted this raid.
Door comes off the hinges, boom, police bust in, fully armored, helmet.
However, every single girl that was in the house defended Andrew and said that he did not hit her and that she was lying. The woman even admitted to lying about the situation, but it still took him to...
That's telling. That's very interesting to see. Also, damn, $1,000 could have saved a big can of worms from being open. But it is interesting that the other women defended him, which leads me to believe that it wasn't, at least at that time, anything too bad.
You're saying like not skirting the illegal lines yet?
At this point, it would seem like no. At this point, I think it's definitely some slimy stuff. But do I necessarily think that he was because why would the woman be defending him if they were being held against their will at this point or whatever have you, right? Why would they defend him when the police got there? You know what I mean?
The only reason I could see for that would be the amount of money they're making, the sheer amount of money that they're making.
And then as an adult, that's your
exactly.
That's your own choice.
Yeah. So picture this. Let's say just as a scenario, let's just say he's beating everybody in the house. Okay. But
allegedly, big on that allegedly.
Allegedly, let's say he's allegedly beating everybody in the house. Now they talked earlier about the revenue, $400,000 a month, right? If you're getting 20 to 50% of whatever your putting out as far as money, in your head, you may justify it. I can deal with this for another year and a half because I'm going to be rich by the time it's over.
Okay, and fair enough. And then at that point, I would argue that you're a grown adult and you've made that decision on your own to make that sacrifice. So that is...
Oh, yeah, there's absolutely consequences to actions. I was just simply trying to answer your question of like, why would they defend him? Is that they like the money?
Yeah, so... Yeah, at least so far, I think things are still on the more up and up. If anything, they're on the slimy side, for sure.
Yeah. But nothing that you don't really see like too far out of Vegas or any other...
porn industry.
Or the porn industry, OnlyFans, just other cam girl services.
The sex industry is a very dirty game.
Yeah, and it plays by dirty rules. Like at this point... This seems like run-of-the-mill stuff that you'd see from anything.
In the sex industry.
2 years and $450,000 in legal fees for the case to close and for him to not be charged with any crimes. This situation prompted his move to Romania, which was the ideal place for him to live for a few different reasons.
People say, why do you live in Romania? And I explain my 5 reasons. One of them is the Me Too era. They go, oh, well, you're a rapist. I say, no, I'm not a rapist. But I like the idea of being able to just say to do what I want. I like being free. And I met a police chief and I told him my story. And he said, well, in Romania, if she doesn't have proof of if she doesn't have physical evidence, then there's no progression. If she can't say here's a red mark or here's where he hurt me, there's no case. And there's word on word. And I said, that makes a lot more sense. So Romania is absolutely corrupt, but it's a corruption that everyone can participate in. I would much rather live in a country that's corrupt where I get stopped for speeding and I give them a little bit of money than a country that's corrupt like America, which says it isn't corrupt. You have to be a billionaire and have a private jet and go to islands to get away with it, you know? Like, if you're gonna be corrupt, which every nation on earth is, then let everyone play the game.
It seems like Andrew moved to Romania.
I hate talking about this guy because if you look at certain parts, right, it can seem like, oh, well, this guy's not that bad, et cetera, et cetera. But then the more and more you listen to what he's saying and what he's talking about.
Self-snitching.
Exactly. It's like self-snitching, and it really does start to worry about, and this is what I was talking about earlier when I said, when he was bragging and everything, talking about, oh, I'm the best and all that, and how he can back up everything he's talking about.
It comes with the arrogance.
Exactly.
It's a double-edged sword right here. The arrogance you're saying is helping him, but it's also kicking his back in at the same time because he's allowing his arrogance to drive things that he's saying and maybe allowing it to cloud his judgment and take a little bit of hotter takes than he should necessarily be taking.
I think the arrogance is actually what kept him from paying that girl her $1,000. He was dying on a hill. He didn't want to be seen as weak.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, right?
Okay.
Do you think maybe there's a possibility that he was not giving her the $1,000 because he felt he was entitled to that for the cleaning? Or do you just think that it was a complete arrogance move that ended up costing him $450,000 when he could have simply just paid $1,000 and got her okay with it? Or there is also the other option where the girl was going to go run and make this happen regardless of if he gave her the $1,000 or not.
I would go ahead and argue for the first one where you say what was the first one? Like, he didn't give her this money because
he felt maybe he was entitled to it for cleaning up the mess that she had made or any kind of damages she might have caused.
Fundamentally, they're employees, correct? They're working for a company. That's
the way he's describing it. Yeah, I would say they would be considered an employees in a sex industry.
Just like if somebody, if you accidentally break something at like a Target or a retail store, they generally don't just take that out of your paycheck. You know, that's considered overhead.
You're saying as an employee, not as a customer, right?
As an employee.
Okay.
Yeah, as an employee, they generally won't take that out of your overhead. And then also, I think just from like a legal standpoint, if a lawyer were to use that, they would say, well, you're trying to follow the rules as far as employment goes, but like, why aren't you following the rules here, here, and here? You know, I don't know if it's completely legal to just have 10 people living in a house
in a brothel-esque kind of manner.
Type of way. I don't know what the laws are on that. Like, he may not be following all the laws himself. So for him to turn around and say, well, they need to follow the laws when I don't, that would seem...
So you think it's his arrogance, and like you were saying, that his arrogance was blocking him in a way and clouding his judgment on that. And
I think deep down he is a misogynist. Like, I don't think he wants to be seen as weak and like defeated by a woman.
I definitely think at this point it's very clear that he doesn't see women as equal, and I feel that that's fair to say for sure. If that's what you're getting at, I don't want to misconstrue your words.
Yeah. You've got the point that I'm trying to make down exactly clear. He died on a hill for $1,000.
Now there is also the other thing that he had maybe he has his money tied up in other things, and he didn't maybe necessarily have $1,000 to put forward to her in liquid assets, possibly. Now that's just a possibility. There's no way I'm going to be able to know that, or any of us really will. But that's another angle to possibly look at it at. Who knows? Because a 10-bedroom house, I don't know what property is going for over there, but
nowadays, or
whenever this happened,
2017, 2018, I mean, probably at least a couple milli, right?
I have no idea. So maybe his money could have been tied up in there,
Shumba, do you have any input on the money thing? Like,
they're running a business out of this building, right? This isn't a house that they're living out of. This isn't just they're all friends and everything. These women are paid employees, and they're being paid on a percentage rate. So as far as her asking for the money right there and then, like at your job, you get paid in increments. You get paid in 2 weeks and everything, because there's a thing called cash flow. A business might have $20,000 a month in cash flow, but it's not like it's sitting in the bank. It's constantly moving around. It's paying insurance, it's paying for internet and all the other bills that come with running a business. So he might have not had the money because of that.
Just right up front.
Right up front, yeah.
So, I mean, I think there's
a lot of variables in it for sure at this point. Definitely, he's starting to talk spicier and spicier, though, as we're seeing.
He is talking spicier. I do have to point out that he was found not guilty. This does seem to be a situation where somebody didn't get their money, and so they kind of escalated and took it to the police.
Absolutely.
Possibly filed. We have to go by what they say. We don't know.
Me personally, I really feel as if people's rights should be protected, and we shouldn't necessarily hate. Or not hate. You're welcome to hate people, but to prosecute someone purely off disliking them is unjust, in my opinion.
I 100% agree.
Just him being a sleazebag is not a reason to give him legal repercussions, in my opinion. I believe that you being a bad person or a slime ball doesn't mean that like you deserve the law to break your back in type situation, because you can be slimy and it is not illegal.
Because it's a slippery slope. While some people would argue that, well, if they're if enough people don't like them, well, then you end up in a situation like the Salem witch trials or something, where anything that anybody says as conjecture can then be used in a court of law against you.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of that, is what all I'm saying.
Yeah, and while everybody may hate Andrew Tate, opening it up for him is what they call that precedent. It will set that precedent for everybody down the line.
Right. And that's really worrying as someone who does enjoy their rights and their freedoms.
Absolutely.
I don't feel as if that's just not liking someone is reason.
And I think that's where the word inalienable comes from. It's like despite who you are, you have these rights. It's under the implication that all of us are, not everybody's a slime ball, not everybody's a perfect person. Most people ride a gray area.
For everybody else listening and watching, we are in the United States, so the rights that we're talking about, we're specifically talking about those in the Constitution and everything else. We don't know exactly what's permitted in other countries and everything like that.
Yes, we're a little isolated in our knowledge to America.
I think the craziest part about that initial raid was the amount of attention that it got whenever the raid happened. But as Patrick said, the raid only happened because the woman had said that she was physically assaulted by Tate. And then it came out in the court case that was actually a lie.
And you know how that is. The bad story is always going to be bigger than the good part of it. And I believe that works definitely against him, because everyone's going to talk about the raid and how he's an accused woman beater at this point. But I do think that is a huge thing to bring up, that at this point he is not found guilty. And that part was very much so swept under the rug. Everyone wants to bring up the raid and like the accusations, but no one wants to bring up that he beat it, which I feel is important
under court, which means that there was discovery and an attempt to prosecute and evidence brought forward, testimonies given, and at the end of the day, for them to find not guilty, as shitty of a person as he may be, he wasn't guilty of this crime by a jury of his peers.
On top of all this, they took $100,000 worth of computers and stuff for him. So they went through his hard drives and everything. But again, just want to reiterate, not saying this guy's a good guy. not saying that I agree with how he conducts himself online or in real life.
Yeah.
Just merely saying that if someone is going to be crucified for something, they should be crucified for something they did.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
In a corrupt society, his mindset is that all governments are corrupt. At least in this country, he can be a part of it. So he started a new life with new businesses in Romania. There isn't a ton of information about his businesses, and he obviously doesn't like to talk about them. However, he bought a bunch of land out there and now cultivates tobacco, which he intends on producing his own cigars. He also owns 10% of the RXF, which is basically like the Romanian UFC. Some of the fights, he and his brother Tristan do the English commentary.
I never dreamed I'd have that name called out at a fight show that I was commentating, Andrew.
Around 2017, Andrew decided to ramp up his social media presence, taking to YouTube and Twitter to start sharing his thoughts on the world. The very first video, Andrew Tate on gun control.
My name's Andrew Tate. I'm the most knowledgeable human in the world.
He started posting vlogs to showcase his lifestyle. Fast cars, women, traveling all over the world. But more notably, he started posting these short videos where he quickly speaks his mind on a variety of random topics. Why real men don't cry, alcohol, top 5 reasons you should never own a cat. Basically, if you saw a Tate upload, you knew it was going to be a farce.
I'm a vegetarian and I don't eat gluten. Okay, have you achieved anything else in your life? Do you have any actual personality? Are you anything, or are you just a person who doesn't eat meat and doesn't eat bread?
And I hate when I tell people my story, my turbulent story, like, well, you know that air travel is the safest form of travel. Don't come at me with statistics, motherfucker. I know statistics. I do not like, and I will never, ever wear headphones in public. When you put your headphones in and you're walking down the street, listening to your music, you are a target.
I do have to agree with that. Wearing headphones in public is kind of like a little
Even
dumb.
at the gym?
At the gym, you're cool. That's not in like that
You
is
mean like in the
public.
streets,
But I'm talking
like-
in the streets when you're walking down the streets. If it's a bad neighborhood or something, especially like Jesus Christ, like I would not walk around at like 2 a.m. with headphones in. That like, see, that's what I mean. Sometimes he says some stuff, but then he sprinkles it with just stupidity on top. It's like, okay, I see your point. And then he says something, you're like, whoa.
He does the lead in. He says something that'll pique your ear, and you lean in. You're like, go on, and then he gets you with the fucked up stuff, and you're like,
yeah. Like I definitely think that's how he gains traction. He's like, hold on, listen to this palatable thing, and then he's like, okay, listen to my like wild opinion, and it's like, whoa.
He's like, now that I got you.
Yeah,
here's how I really feel.
And I think that does speak to the marketing and the hustling, because that definitely takes a certain kind of foresight to see how it would react on social media. I think at this point he realized it's getting a rise out of people. But I just wanted to point out, like, sometimes he says stuff and you're like, oh, okay. And I think that's how he lures people into listening to his hot takes, is he says something that everyone's like, oh, okay, what else do you have to say? And then he's like, and here's the hot take. Surprise.
And it's doo-doo.
I hate happiness. I hate happy children.
His over-abrasive delivery makes you wonder if he's just joking or not. These YouTube videos were designed to drive traffic to his website, tateshinkai.net, where he sold a course on how to get girls, a course on how to get in shape, a course on chess, a course on body language, and even a course on building your own webcam empire. Everything you would see from a typical YouTube guru. Over time, he started to move outside of the pointless rants and into more serious topics.
My problem with that gentleman is not that he was black. My problem with that gentleman is that he pulled a machete and tried to kill someone in broad daylight. Think that you, as a person, can save the West and be more powerful than all the information, Google, the media, all the external forces, all these people pushing for America's demise? You don't stand a chance, because I'm a happy, contented individual. And all the people who sit there and tell me, you shouldn't be so arrogant, they're the people who are unhappy. You shouldn't be arrogant. You should be like me, a meek, humble piece of shit. Well, I don't want to be like you, because you're a fucking loser.
What's interesting is that Andrew didn't talk much about women in
I'm not even gonna front. I do like when people be talking their bullshit like that a little bit. That arrogance, like, I think it lures the people in, because it's like, I feel like I said earlier, it's like getting people that feel like they don't necessarily have that in themselves. Now, I have enough confidence in myself where I'm not gonna totally blindly follow some dickhead online and like his stupid opinions, but I'm saying, like, I can see from a more weak-minded person how they'd be like, yes, and be all like, take his word as the you know.
Yeah, and I mean, you see that same concept from other people, just in a lot less douchey light, like The Rock, or other people that are seen as kind of like totems of masculinity.
I think confidence sells, and that's part of the brand. He just takes it to the extreme.
I can't disagree that I don't want to be like everybody else. I think everybody feels that way a little bit. He's definitely saying a lot of what people are thinking. It's just like you said earlier, though. It's like it definitely leads into like a shithole. Like it's just right into the toilet right after that. Like I definitely vibe with part of that, but it's like you almost know I'm going to click play and you're going to hear something fucked up.
But I even think the confidence is like blinding some people. Like that's what I mean. Like the more stupid people, I think it's blinding them because they mess with the confidence so much that he could say anything and they'll follow it, which is dangerous.
100%. Yeah. Like now you're entering where people become cult figures, where no matter what they say, they have a following that's like an echo chamber, a reverb chamber.
And that's that's scary about that for sure, because of how extreme some of his views are. To have people willing to follow you in an echo chamber-esque way, that's why I just wanted to show like it's like I like the cockiness, but it's like I'm aware enough and mentally strong enough to realize that the message behind a lot of the stuff is bullshit.
And I think a key way to figure out if he is like at a cult figure status or if he's just like a big social media icon is if you picture in your head, if he tried to mobilize his fans, would they listen?
I absolutely believe so.
Then in my head, he's a cult figure. Now I
could see that argument.
Much in the beginning of his YouTube career. Sure, he had a video here and there about his views, but most of his videos were focused on money, success, and the mindset to get there.
Girls run their mouth. I just start beating the out of them, not even having sex.
Whoa. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm like, all right, I like the confidence. And then he goes and says some like out of pocket stuff like that. I'm like, hey, yo. The scary thing is people that aren't as smart as me are like, okay. Agreed. It's like, whoa, everyone pump your brakes. What? That's
what I was trying to say is like, I'm vibing with what he's saying. And that almost led me to believe.
Pause. Pump your brakes. You said you're vibing with what he's saying?
When he says, I don't want to be like everybody else.
Okay,
I was vibing with what he said.
To clarify.
Yeah, to clarify, I was like, for a second, I'm like, okay, go on. And then immediately this clip, he's like, I just start beating the fuck out of him. Like,
yeah, absolutely not.
The crazy part is it's always within the same sentence. Like the whiplash this man gives you when listening to him is insane.
And that's what I keep getting at. It's the confidence that lures you in, because I'm like, okay, I'm listening to you. And then he says that and I'm like, I cannot, like, what? Like, no. In no right scenario does that sentence sound good. Like, that's not editing or anything. That is just like, that does not sound good. That is out of pocket.
It's like Shumba said, it's mental whiplash. Like, I believe that's how he gets a lot of people. They're just in such a state of confusion. They don't know what he's saying. They just know they bought into a program.
I think at this point, this is when he's starting to see a lot of the viewership go up from him saying this shit.
It's almost on the same line that Donald Trump went on to, where he kind of realizes he's like, ooh, when I get a reaction, I trend. People are talking about me. I'm getting a reaction that I want, whether I'm saying the most negative trash ever or whether like I believe it or not. And he's thriving off this reaction. And I mean, like it or not, like, I mean, we're talking about him, and it's like he's getting the things that he wants off of it, off these wild things that he's saying. Because yeah, we just had to pause it right there, because that was some wild.
If you think about it in a metaphor, like, I mean, if he's standing on a cliff and every time he poops into his hand and throws it on the people below him, and he like checks his bank account and there's more money in it, wouldn't you just sit up at the edge of the cliff and just throw poop at people? I would.
I would in this strange analogy.
Yeah, it's a rather strange analogy, but
because you're throwing the poop on the people below.
Love it more than ever. They like it more. The less sex you have with them, the better.
I have nothing to talk to women about besides either sleeping with them or that's it. Men are trying to get laid, so they pretend to be friends with the girl, hoping that one day she'll get drunk enough and let them f*** her.
Obviously, his bold statements and opinions ruffled feathers. It was the type of content that attracted a lot of anti-women incels. But a lot of his fans see the truth in his statements, despite his bold delivery. He started getting more attention from YouTubers like Mr. Gigi and Leon Lush, making commentary videos about him. Comedian Tom Segura and his wife Christina P. would react to his videos very often on their podcast, with their reactions getting hundreds of thousands of views. However, that only helped him grow more. The War Room launches. The War Room is a global network in which exemplars of individualism work to free the modern man from socially induced incarceration. In 2019, it only cost $500 to get in. Today, it costs $5,000 to get in. So who could possibly be in the network that would make it worth this much money? Well, there's author Bobby Dino, and Iggy, master of spells and shadows. The war room in Miami looked like some powerful congregation.
Sorry.
Pretty unclear as to what they actually do.
Making money is easy. You just take it from somebody.
It's kind of like a country club. You get next to other people with money, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee you success. The biggest and most notable business he is associated with are the 15 casinos he opened up in Romania. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, his casinos closed down just 3 months after they opened.
So the first thing is I own some casinos in Romania. 3 brothers, mafia guys, they own 400 casinos throughout Eastern Europe.
That is so out of pocket to just say on a podcast.
Also, isn't a casino like the easiest way to launder money ever?
You might be onto something.
I came up to them and said, look, I want to do a franchise with you. They said, we're not interested in franchises. We have enough money. We just open them ourselves. We turn over 10 million euros a day. Why do I need your franchise? Eventually, I came up with a plan. I said, look, how about this? I'll open up your locations directly next to your biggest competitor. Worst case, the location doesn't pay any money, but at least it takes money from your competitor. I'll give you a percentage of turnover, so even if it doesn't make profit, you make money. I'll take all the financial risk.
I'm not sure what casinos they are, but just by a quick Google search, it seems like a ton are still closed in Romania. So he's been paying rent, and they haven't been open for potentially 2 years. The pandemic impacted businesses around the world. Everyone was facing some serious financial pressure. So Andrew needed a way to come up with a new cash flow method. Hustlers University 2.0 was born. This was a no-nonsense crash course on how to get rich fast and be successful in business, taught by a multi-millionaire.
In Hustlers University 2.0, we teach about fast money. I don't teach you how to save more money in a stagnant pool, because that's the way, listen, if you do that, you're always going to be poor.
Hustlers University and the War Room seem to provide the same information as to how to make money online. The War Room just hosts meetings in the physical world and costs $5,000.
We help people get multiple passports and multiple residencies, multiple bank accounts, because I believe your number one priority as the world reopens should be getting as many passports and residencies as possible, because slavery is absolutely coming to the world.
The university costs $50 per month and will teach you 18 modern wealth creation methods to get rich quick. These methods are so that you can escape the matrix.
So any form of oppression no longer applies to me. I can't be canceled, my finances are secure, I've escaped the matrix. And when I talk about the matrix, it primarily applies to men, because men are the backbone of the slave force.
In order to effectively promote this business, he needed to
with that take on that he just said, right, that men are the backbone, they're the slaves or whatever. I can't remember exactly verbatim what he just said.
Backbone of the slave force.
Yeah. Do you think he simply means that as far as manual labor jobs, we starkly, like men, outnumber women in that kind of industry? Or do you think that there was deeper meaning behind that? Or what do you take away from that?
Do you want to go first, Schumer, or should I?
You can take this one.
So I think that it's coming from a place... I have to almost take like timelines in it, because I guess if you take
and I'm
America,
saying what you think he thinks, like in that statement, or I'm not saying necessarily either of y'all's opinion. I'm saying, what do you think he meant by that?
I think he's under the assumption that men perform most of the manual labor jobs in the United States as far as building infrastructure, like actual roads and buildings. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably true. It's not that there isn't a female construction force, or like what you want to call it, manual labor overall, but I think that
because females do exist in that field, just not percentage wise, it's not near as much.
Predominantly represented by men.
Okay, so you think that was just surface level? That's exactly what he meant by that, or do you think
just kind of, you could say like nurses and teachers are overrepresented by women in that field. You know, you could argue that, and those are both integral. But I think as far as what he's talking about, like slave labor is generally physical labor.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought he meant, but I wasn't entirely sure, so I kind of wanted to get y'all's take.
I actually think he's talking about just the workforce in general, because earlier, he described slavery as, you know, just working.
So you don't think he necessarily meant physical labor? You're saying he means almost in anywhere?
Yeah, just the workforce in general.
Okay, that's interesting. I just wanted to see what everyone kind of thought he meant by that statement, because it was rather ambiguous.
So hold on. Do you think it's overall just work?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's directed at men, since that's his primary audience?
I think it's overall just as work. And I'm coupling that with also how he has gone on record and talked about like what he believes a woman's role should be. And a lot of the times he thinks they should be in the home and all that.
Okay.
Let's see where you're coming from.
Take to social media. Andrew realized producing his own content was too limiting. He needed to collaborate with people who already had followings and platforms. He shows up, talks shit, entertains people, and promotes his course. So he does a media tour. Some key podcasts that helped him were the Fresh and Fit podcast, who are known in what is called the Manosphere, which is a group of content creators who have very strong opinions on men and women gender roles. They typically admire and praise the traditional way of male and female dynamics. Man works, pays the bills, women raises the kids. Fresh and Fit are probably the biggest and most culturally relevant of all the podcasts in this media tour. They absolutely obsessed over Tate, fawned over him. Now 3 of their biggest podcast episodes ever are with Andrew, and he got adopted by that community. Another one that helped him a lot was Your Mom's House with Tom Segura, where Tom was genuinely laughing at Tate's jokes and genuinely agreeing with his ideals. Tom praised his...
Now, to be fair, I like Tom Segura a lot. It's one of my favorite podcasts. It's hard not to laugh at the shit that Andrew Tate says sometimes.
Well, just because you're laughing at something doesn't mean you necessarily agree with it. Yeah. You can definitely laugh at someone and not with someone. So I don't think it's damning towards... Now, I don't have much knowledge of him, so I can't give you much of my opinion on...
They're very tongue-in-cheek. If he's laughing, he probably just thinks it's funny. He doesn't... I don't think he... Especially, like, given... like his wife and just like the stuff he said on his podcast, I don't think he wholeheartedly agrees with Andrew Tate in any way. I think he just thinks he's funny, the way he talks, the way he says things.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that angle.
I caught myself laughing earlier when he was saying, like, you know, it's a horrible thing to say, but it's the way he says it. He's goofy. He's almost like a character, like a cartoon character.
He's definitely a personality for sure.
And again, we had those moments just earlier where we acknowledged that some of the stuff that he was saying was agreeable and palatable. And then he says the crazy shit.
Yeah. The violence towards women thing that we commented on earlier was like super out of pocket. Yeah, 100%.
Comedy, which is a huge cosign from a professional stand-up comedian.
You're so rich, but you're smart and you're actually very intelligent. And I know you'd get really bored of a robot. And I'm sitting there thinking, bitch, I wish to God you were a robot. You better shut the fuck up. We talk about star signs? Oh yeah, I'm so glad. Tell me more about Sagittarius rising. So I've had this argument with a feminist before. She's like, oh, well, we've never tried matriarchies. We've only tried patriarchies, blah, blah, blah. And I said, listen, bitch.
I'm not going to lie. I laughed a little bit.
It's the way he says it. Yeah.
See, I just got caught up in the same bullshit. I can see why he's laughing at it because it's like, are you fucking kidding me? But it's like, what? Honestly, if I'm being honest, for personal like reasons, like it was that star bullshit that caught me. I was like,
it was good comedic timing. I hate to admit it. It was good comedic timing.
Exactly. Funny's just funny.
Was all a character. Some people hated him for his abrasive and misogynistic takes, and some people praised him for being the ultimate alpha male. The combination made him an unstoppable force. His follower counts were rising significantly. In December 2021, he had 6,000 students paying him $50 per month on Hustlers University, $300,000 per month. That's not bad. Today, he has 110,000 students paying $50 per month. That is $5.5 million per month, $66 million per year, all profit. He says this course isn't about money. It's just him genuinely trying to better people's lives. He says, I already have money. I don't need money. It's the perfect sales pitch. Now, nobody who signs up will think they're getting scammed. He said his brother makes about $300,000 per month on his OnlyFans management business. His 15 casinos have a ton of overhead costs. On top of being closed for 2 years, they would have to be in the heart of Las Vegas to pull anywhere near $1 million per month. His online course is more than likely his most successful business he has ever built. This course was all built on the idea of getting rich like him, and he was rich before, but $300,000 per month and $5 million per month are way different levels. Now he is filthy rich. So am I suggesting he made millions off podcast appearances? Well, not exactly, but he did make a very key change in his approach that changed everything. He went on as many podcasts and talk shows as he possibly could. While he was there, he performed. He told his members to clip as many segments as they could, edit them up a little bit, make an Andrew Tate page on TikTok, YouTube, or whatever social media, and post the clips as if it was him posting. The clips constantly went viral because of how polarizing he is. Andrew has an official YouTube and official Instagram, not even a Twitter anymore. Some students have TikTok accounts with hundreds of thousands of followers from simply clipping his podcast appearances. In their bio of their pages, they will have an affiliate link to the Hustlers University course. If someone signs up through their link, they get 10% of the first month sign-up fee, which is $5. So thousands of students are reposting his content, getting hundreds of thousands of followers, millions of views.
I just want to say the marketing behind that is genius. I have to admit, I'm not even going to lie. That is genius. As what I consider myself a hustler. I think 100% that business model, as far as a marketing standpoint, fucking crazy.
I mean, it's ultimately just a basic MLM. It's multi-level marketing, but everybody's making
But he's
money.
tricked these people. Like, the reason it's genius is because he's tricked these people into thinking that they're their own boss when really they're getting $5 off a $50 sign up for 1 month, where he's locking them in. Genius. That I will have to give him his flowers on that. Like, that is crazy.
Plus whatever the students are making on their individual accounts.
Yeah, I would argue that he's using his super toxic, disgusting personality and offering it to them. He's like, hey, I don't want to do this. You go do it for me. Whatever residuals you make off that, I'll give you $5 off your Hustlers University thing.
The reason I say it's genius personally is because it almost makes you uncancelable. Even without a social media presence, that gives you a social media presence that's very strong. If you have 50 fan pages, hundreds of fan pages, whatever it might be, how are you going to get me up off social media? You can't kick all those people off social media because they're not person. And you being Andrew Tate is who I'm referring to.
I have to argue that's a chess tactic. That is very. I didn't see that aspect of it. That's a hidden move, like in chess. Like it has a secondary meaning behind it.
Because even if his main accounts and stuff get banned, get blocked, he's going to be on social media and on the rotation regardless.
110,000 Hustlers University students promoting him on TikTok.
So from a marketing standpoint, this is ridiculous, even from a profit standpoint, because you're making them think they're winning. You're giving them a little piece of the cake, and you get to take the whole cake back. You're essentially dropping off a little, like a tiny sliver of your cake, and then you get to take the rest of the remaining cake and be like, you have a great day. Yeah. And then you have these people that are like, thank you so much for that little piece of cake, because they don't see the, or if they do, they don't care.
Absolutely flooding every algorithm on every social media with videos of him, making him insanely famous. Then when they get that attention, they use it to promote his course, in which they make $5 one time, and he makes $45, then $50 a month every month after. Literally, all these people are grinding for him for maybe a $5 sign up. And if nobody signs up, Andrew still benefits because his fame and relevance is skyrocketing. But like I said before, 110,000 signups, $5 million per month. His plan is working exactly the way he wanted it to.
And you're existing inside of a system which is deliberately rigged to make the rich richer and for the poor to stay poor.
Yeah.
The average amount of money the person makes in their first month is only $300. Doesn't matter. It costs you $50 to join. After 3 months, $150 commitment, the average amount of money created by each individual is over $1,800.
So his modern making money fast techniques lead to an average of $300 in the first month, a whopping $250 profit in 30 days. That's $8 per day or $1 per hour. And after 3 months, you'll average $1,800. That's $1,650 profit, jump up to $18 per day or $2.25 per hour.
You can't just save money in a stagnant pool. You need to learn how to get fast money.
First month is only $300.
And buy the right things quickly.
First month is only $300.
So you can buy more.
So according to his averages, working at McDonald's is a 7 or 8 times faster money-making method than his course. If you try to do any research on what the course entails, it's all videos of other people who are saying positive things about the course so that you will sign up using their affiliate link and they get paid. So we don't really know how valuable the information is inside the course.
So this is actually just an MLM. There's like literally nothing behind the university.
There is actual content behind the university. What he's saying is that if you try to look up anything about it, all you're going to find is all these shill accounts that are literally talking about the university so that they can get you to sign up. There's no one actually talking about what's in the university itself, but you can find a couple people that have actually paid the money for the university, and it's essentially just basic life lessons. So it's like money management videos and stuff like that by those gurus they talked about earlier. So like the wizard.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, there actually is something that he's selling there. It's not just him selling, other people selling it.
No, there's supposed to be content behind it. Yes. If we get enough likes on this, we will purchase this actually and expose what is behind there.
I want to know.
Should we set a like limit?
What's that number? Yeah, because I don't want to do this. So like, let's say 100,000 likes.
Because I don't want to do it.
100,000 likes. If we get the video to 100,000 likes, I will personally buy the Hustlers University. And I will expose what is behind there. If you guys are interested in that content, if not, keep it pushing. It doesn't hurt me. I say $50. So
if you do it for anyone, do it for me because I really want to know. Not to participate. I just want to make sure that they're not selling. I feel like
Snake oil?
I feel like they're selling snake oil.
It is snake oil.
On April 11th, 2022, the Romanian police responded to an alleged kidnapping that 2 women were being held against their will in Andrew Tate's house and being forced into sex. One of those women was American. The police were alerted by officials of the U.S. Embassy in Romania. The brothers were arrested, the house was searched, but nothing really happened and they were released. The report says that there is an ongoing investigation looking into a potential human trafficking case with these men. The Tate brothers said that the American girl's boyfriend got jealous that she was at their mansion and he called the cops lying, saying that she was held against her will.
I get about 50 to 100 DMs on Instagram a day from women.
Yeah. Please kidnap me.
Hot women.
Please.
Will you kidnap me?
Here's some of the stuff I really wanted to get into, right? Because this pertains to current day stuff, right? Do you think he would be seeing any repercussions to this situation had it not been an American woman down there? And then there's a follow-up question to this, guys.
I think that there being an American woman involved definitely brought out the long arm of the law. On a political scale, it's going to look bad for America to not do something about a foreign citizen claiming they're being held in sexual captivity. To not respond to that would make us as bad as it sounds, makes us look weak as a country. Okay. So I think that directly caused American involvement.
If there was not an American involved, I do not believe he would be as persecuted by the law in Romania. And I say that because of the reason he moved there. He said that the government is at a certain level corrupt, but it is a corruption that everybody can play in. Mm-hmm. And I think after his experience in London with the police and a similar-esque situation, I believe his move to Romania was meant to prepare and soften the blow for not if, but when this same type of occurrence came up.
Okay, so the second part of my question, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here, right? As far as the weight to the woman's claims, right? There's, in my head, a couple ways this can go, right? You have one path, right? One path is Tate is human sex trafficking, right? Mm-hmm. And it's cut and dry. That's what it is. He's holding her there against her will, right? So that's one scenario. Now we have another scenario, right? And this is more so playing devil's advocate in this scenario, right? You have 2 in shape men. You have 2 wealthy men. You have 2 clouted up men. Women are attracted to power and money, right? I mean, even in this clip, they're talking about we have all these women in our DMs, da-da-da-da-da.
A certain type of woman, yes.
A certain type of woman, yes. Not every single woman. I'm not going to say every single woman thinks the same. Not at all. Don't want to get into that. However, this woman had a man. Now, once again, playing devil's advocate here, was she doing some trifling stuff possibly? Do you think that she told her man that, hey, I'm going here for an interview. This is to help my social media presence. This is going to level me up. This is going to give me opportunity to make more money. This is going to take me to the next level for all intents and purposes. This is going to make me be a personality or something special. And then she had been telling her man, no, babe, I love you. Da-da-da-da-da. I would never do that. He won't let me leave. Meanwhile, she's like doing whatever she pleases, possibly. No, again, devil's advocate here. This is what it is. You know, and she's just telling her man what he wants to hear because she's in a relationship with him. Meanwhile, she's on the other end doing whatever kind of BS.
Are you asking if I think it's a possibility?
I'm just saying, like, those are the 2 paths. What
I would argue that stuff like that has happened to people already, and that happens on, because this is like a social level where they have tons of money and stuff, right? We're dealing with like clouded people with tons and tons of followers.
Well, think how women act when they get caught. I mean, even men. Think how people react when they get caught cheating.
Yeah, they defer.
No, babe, I didn't want to do this. I felt pressured. Da-da-da-da-da. He made me feel like I had no choice. You know I love you. I didn't want to have sex with anybody but you. And meanwhile, they're over here drooling over Tate, possibly. Now, I don't know that to be true at all. I'm not.
Now, I definitely can see where you're coming from. And I would definitely say that that's an argument to be made, that the boyfriend heard something from the girlfriend that wasn't necessarily true.
And he thinks he's being a hero in this situation,
in order
possibly.
to soften the blow on his heart. And he makes the claim to the U.S. and they get a hold of the embassy, and then the Romanian police act so that they don't incur the wrath of, Uncle Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that mean that he didn't use fraud and coercion on any of the women?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just because this specific case is what brought attention to the situation, I think it's possible that what happened there brought attention to the situation, and that's exactly what happened, but that there may have been other parties involved where coercion and fraud was used in order to make them perform sexual acts on camera for money. He even says on the website, none of the people working for me ever worked in the sex industry until they met me. It almost implies he coerced them into doing sex work once they became associated with him.
And then what are we holding to self-accountability as? Tate is a very public figure, right?
Mm-hmm.
He does not really hide his viewpoints on women, nor does he really hide his viewpoints on how he sees money-making things. Like he's also not really one to stray away from shadier, slimier business practices and be very open and public about that. So how much self-accountability are we giving people as well on that issue too?
I think self-accountability is an important thing, but I also think that money and power can not supersede, but I think they can blind somebody's ability to make a rational choice in regards to their own personal safety.
Now, I can see that.
Just as a rough metaphor, I've got 2 arms and 2 legs, and I work in an economy where I have to make an hourly rate, right? If somebody were to come up to me and offer me $6 million to take one of my legs, that amount of money is enough to make me consider maiming myself.
Okay, but then in your analogy, I'm holding you accountable. That's your fault.
Yeah, you could hold me accountable. There is an aspect of self-accountability there, but that ability to maim myself is only made possible by that sheer amount of wealth and power, which is possessed by one person.
Yes, but as an adult, that is your choice to choose yes or no in that scenario.
At this point, we've gone through early Andrew Tate, like young adult Andrew Tate and all of that, and he's been pretty much the same person the entire time.
I can agree.
At this point, he's already had the one house raided because of something to do with the webcam business that he was running.
Mm-hmm.
And he has constantly been open about his thoughts on women.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any good or justifiable reason to go to Romania to begin with.
Because for me, if I'm putting myself in a woman's shoes, right? Say I'm a young, attractive woman. Psych, it's not going to be happening. But, say for this scenario I am, right? There is just no way that I'm going to take myself, being a young, attractive woman, go overseas to a foreign country where I have no connections to a, 240 pound, 6 foot, 6 foot and change. He's a big guy, like that is strong. He's held titles. He's a very strong person, even just in terms of compared to other men. Why would I put myself in that predicament if I'm like a female? I'm maybe like 120 pounds, 130 pounds. I'm tiny. I'm like 4'11", 5 foot. I'm not going to give that man that much power to go to his house and let him possibly control me, especially when that's a narrative that's been being pushed for a while.
I would argue it's not all about physical control. Again, that money thing, it creates a system where he can take control of them, either with like hiring security or taking their passports, or just, I don't know, like money opens up several avenues for you to exert control over somebody who doesn't have that much money. And for them, for the females involved, they see the prospect of a better life. It's kind of like leaving your country and crossing the ocean.
So see, what you're doing
country.
is you're proving my point here.
There is self-culpability involved. What I'm saying is that the money and the power involved places them in a different place as far as Like criminal justice is like, I guess what I'm getting at is they carry more power than the average citizen because of the wealth that they carry.
Absolutely.
Correct. And that's fair.
That's fair. They're allowed to have that, but they're not just allowed to use it to exert control over other humans.
But if they went there on their own accord is what I'm saying. I'm trying to play devil's advocate and make people
Yeah, and I would say that's a
fight for their
mitigating
opinion.
factor. Up till that point, everything is on her. You know, just because she went there doesn't give him the right to hold her there.
Now, what I'm saying is where it would become wrong, in my opinion. Okay, so if the girl flies over there, right, on her own accord, she chooses it. It's something she wants. She thinks it's going to further her. She thinks it's going to benefit her, right? Okay. At that point, I'm placing blame on the female, right? Okay. Now, here's where I'm going to start to place blame on Tate if things take a different turn, right? I will start to put blame on Tate if a girl is like, I don't want to do this. I want to go back. And I'm not saying, I don't even think Tate has to buy them a plane ticket back necessarily, but I do think that he does need to give them their possessions, their passports, and everything they came there with and allow them to leave. Now, if he doesn't do that, that is where Tate is in the wrong.
I would agree.
And that's where it stops being a situation of blaming whatever woman was out there.
Yeah, I would agree with you right there that culpability would fall on him the second he deprived them of their ability to leave. It's not on him to provide them funds to get back, especially if he paid for them to get there. It's at the point where, and I can't say that he did, that's allegedly, but if she was like, I don't want to do this anymore, I want to leave, and he says no, and if you try to leave, I'll beat the shit out of you.
Now,
and I got your passport.
that's where things get wrong. So that would be where things are wrong, in my opinion. That's where Tate's in the wrong at that point.
Nobody's saying that they don't have culpability in buying into this lover boy scenario. Like, hey girl, I'm gonna be your boyfriend and stuff, and if you come down here, we're gonna have a great life. You're gonna live a great life. You know, she should have enough foresight to know that that's not gonna happen. But it's when you restrict someone's will to do something, that's when it becomes fraud or coercion.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that at any point. I'm just saying that at a certain point, up until a certain point, there needs to be self-accountability as well, and we can't just all
and I think that
all bandwagon hate, because I can't stand just like bandwagon hate. Like, I can understand when someone does something wrong. That's fair. Like, if he is holding these women hostage, we need to hold him accountable, and he needs to pay for his actions and see the consequences. Absolutely. Now, I do think that if women are going out there and they have the option to leave at any point with all their possessions that they came there with, that is a self problem, and that is an adult who has made a mistake.
Yeah, and I think that'll come out in the court case. And I think that's what's being argued here was there, and I think even and
that's what makes this whole thing interesting to me. That's why I wanted to talk about this, because it is easy to just be like, I hate this guy. He's arrogant. He's a toxic man. He has these like really, really hot takes. Like, yes, I understand that. But that is not a crime to have a hot take. It is not a crime to be a toxic man. Look at Future. Sensational. Like, come on.
It's not a crime, but when you are such a big personality that everybody sees you, to be investigated or put under scrutiny is still part of that double-edged sword, because you drew all the eyes to yourself. If people are looking at you extra deep because you want them to look at you, then anything that happens as far as like, well, are you doing something wrong? Well, why are you looking this way? Well, because you wanted me to.
Well, with that, it's with success. All right. So with success comes, you need to be more on the up and up. So the more clean cut, the more successful you get, the more clean cut you get, which has been a lot of Andrew Tate's demise, is he's refusing to get to the more clean cut aspect of it. And I think that's a lot of what's kicking his back in at this moment. And that's what's making people want him to be wrong. That's what's making them not want to listen to his side of the story as well, because it's very hard to want to listen to the person that you hate. You don't want to hear their side of the story because you've already decided in your head, I don't mess with this person. I mean, especially when he's saying out of pocket things like, that's when you beat your chick or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, that is 100% out of pocket and unacceptable behavior.
Right.
100%.
You got to keep in mind at Tate's MO, right? You have to look at who he's going after, both with the Hustlers University, the War Room, and with his webcam business. He's going for he's speaking to the lowest common denominator. He's speaking to people that are desperate, low intelligent, desperate, desperate, and in need of some type of change. When we talk specifically about the women that are going over there to either willingly or not willingly work, to Landon's point, it comes down to money, ultimately. And if they're going to take a trip out there for the opportunity to make money without knowing what that's going to be, I agree with you. That is an adult making a mistake. But to Andrew Tate's part, if you flew someone out there telling them that you're going to have some sort of relationship with them or some sort of business opportunity for them, then they get there, find out, say you won't tell them until they get out there. They fly all the way out there. Then they find out, oh, I got to be naked on camera. I don't want to do that. I do think you kind of have to send them back home because now, you're the reason they're there. They didn't buy their own ticket.
So that does, but because of how public of a figure he is, it is no secret by any stretch of the imagination what you're going over there to do. You need to be doing your due diligence if you are going overseas. You're not just going like. You can't just be like, I'm going to go to North Korea. And it's like, you don't know nothing about it. It's like, that's probably not somewhere you want to be. Like, just take 2 seconds on Google. It's the same thing with Tate. Take 2 seconds on Google. Google this guy. Like, I bet you the first thing that comes up is not flattering.
I would agree with you morally, but on a legal sense, him telling them one thing and then flying them out there and then presenting a different plan is fraud. It's coercion. He led them out there under false pretenses. Whether or not people know that on a public scale, he could.
No, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here.
No,
I need some argument here from you guys because I want a strong case like against him. I again, as I keep stressing, I really am for people's rights and to not have people's rights infringed on, and that's on both sides. So that's why I'm wanting accountability on both sides.
So just like you're talking about staying on the up and up, he's starting a business with cam girls, but he's and again, yes, they should know who he is. They should do the research before, but if he does say something in words in a text message to you through Instagram, that will be considered in court a contract. I was to expect these things if I flew to Romania to go work for him. You get there and you're presented with a whole different list than the one that you had.
So could you be legally accountable if you tell your girl that, hey, yo, I'm going to go to work, and then you're not really going to work, you're going to blow your side chick's back out?
If you're married, absolutely.
Yeah, if you're married, that is the thing that'll absolutely get your assets taken from you. That's infidelity. That's fraud.
Okay, so the text should be enough proof then in this scenario, do you think, to be damning and hold against him?
In America.
We
don't know what it takes in Romania.
And now you brought up a point the other day, and I was wrong. I said that Romania's government was similar to ours. It's not. Their rules on sexual SA, the rules on SA are different than they are here, where you could look at a 10-year sentence in Romania, you're looking at probably 30 in America.
And again, that comes down to exactly what Tate was talking about. He ran from London because he had issues when it came to this type of dealings, and he wanted a place that was not going to cause him as much hassle, and he moved there.
And I do think Tate has somewhat screwed himself on this media run. The media run has also been a double-edged sword, right? Because he's very arrogant, and he's like, I can't be stopped. I have multiple passports. I have multiple bank accounts. You cannot trap me here and there, which, let's be honest, no government really likes someone to be swinging their dick like that. Period. No, they don't want anyone to be above the law. So I do believe that that's also worked strongly against him. And I also believe, shout out CLR, I believe CLR gives a really good breakdown on how he self-snitches on himself multiple times. And if you go to CLR, remember, leave a comment saying Tombstone Tourist sent you there.
Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Smiley face.
Tate fans say, well, if they were actually doing those crimes, then they would be in jail. Whereas other people point out that a human trafficking investigation could take many, many years to conduct. Some people think he's guilty because of his suspicious ways of recruiting women to work for his cam business, on top of Tate's convenient reasons why he wants to live in Romania.
So Romania is absolutely corrupt. It's a corruption that everyone can participate in. To say, no, motherfucker, this. But I like the idea of being able to just say to do what I want. Laws don't really apply to you. If they made a law in the UK I was unhappy with, I'd just leave. And if they made a law in Romania where I live I'm unhappy with, I would just leave.
One thing that Andrew Tate is not is dumb. He knows how to sell the dream. He knows how to say things that people want to share, and there's a lot of truth in his statements. He's had constant viral videos talking about how governments manipulate and control people, how they put lies into citizens' heads and create false realities. The Matrix.
The most valuable thing on the planet today is human capital.
That's actually, in my head, not too far from the truth.
Elaborate.
That the government creates, that they want control over their citizens, that you are an asset, that we're kind of like in a big conveyor belt or in a gear system. And
well, absolutely. The taxes are what keeps governments going, and what gives them their budget.
Even the people at the very, very top echelons of life, all they care about is controlling people.
The only way to escape the Matrix is to follow him and do what he says. He studied exactly what he claims the Western world does. He understands it and then implements those exact strategies he claims to loathe directly back to the people that love and support him. So now they are controlled by his Matrix. But remember, Andrew Tate is never satisfied.
It was good, but I don't ever feel like I'm satisfied.
Food means nothing when you're rich. It's too cheap. Any man who sits and says that sex is great or sex is fun just clearly hasn't had enough sex, because sex is boring. Sex is a chore.
He's so rich, he doesn't even get fulfillment from food. Money means nothing. He said it over and over again. He wants to conquer.
We are obsessed with power.
I get more and more powerful. You don't want money, you want power.
The only thing left for you to decide is if he's really trying to better the lives of others and allow them to escape the Matrix. Is he using the same exact...
Let's go ahead and answer that. Do you guys think he's actually trying to help, or do you think he's just a greedy slime ball? Do you think there's any genuineness behind this?
I think that is a complicated answer, right? Because I do think that depending on who you are, he might actually be helping you. Because if you
in what aspect, like making people want to be confident and giving them self-worth, or in a financial aspect?
I can very easily see it that a lot of the people that sign up for his courses are the type of people that very much need a strong male role model within their life.
Okay.
And they might be missing that. So through joining Tate's crew, right, they're getting that camaraderie, they're getting that, masculinity from somewhere. So to them, they might be gaining something, even though the ultimate goal of all of it is to get Tate further out in front of people, where if you're not that type of person, it's arguable that he's doing damage.
Do you have a take on that?
I would argue from certain aspects. So like earlier, they said he offered a chess and a working out tutorial that you could pay money for.
Okay.
I would argue in certain elements of his life that he probably is an expert, possibly on chess, possibly on getting your body into shape and stuff like that.
I would take physical advice from him as far as like a gym advice. On a gym advice, I would take that.
And so I have to go back to the Mayweather analogy. Okay. I don't like Mayweather as a person. I don't like the things he says all the time, but I respect him as an athlete. It's like 50 Cent. You don't have to like 50 Cent to like his music. You can't deny the man his expertise because you don't like the man. Just like you can't deny anybody.
So you think it's somewhat split is what I'm getting from your
I think it's split. It's kind of like he serves as a tool, but like just like a hammer can be used to kill somebody or it can be used to build something out of wood. It's a tool. It depends on how you use it. Do I think he himself is a good person? No. Do I think he has something to offer intellectually? Yes. But I think you do have to filter through bullshit to get to the meat. Okay. It's like picking through, it's like eating crab. Like you have to tear through the shell and you have to get only specific parts of it are nutritious to you. The rest of it's spiky and smells weird. It's offensive. But is there underlying messages that people can ingest that are meaningful, that can help you in your own life? I can't deny that. I can't deny that he's saying something.
So you're saying not all one way or the other?
No.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I just wanted to get opinions on that real quick. Let's finish up the last little bit of this.
What's your opinion?
My opinion, I don't think he gives a fuck, to be honest. Do I think some of his stuff might be useful? It might be able to help people? Yeah, like I saw his point with the chess. Like, he's a good chess player. So, like, yeah, if I was trying to get good at chess, I might listen to him. I'm pretty sure he's physically bigger than me. So, like, I would take his advice on how to get physically stronger. I would be willing to take that. Now, you have to be some kind of idiot to believe I already have money. I don't need money. He's said several times, like, he's not satisfied. He wants more. Like, it's a very gullible thing to believe that he's not after your money and your payment on the Hustlers University thing or any of the other endeavors that he's in. That's very gullible, right? So I would say it's somewhat split. Do I think that there's some stuff that might be there? Maybe. Do I think that he really gives like a fuck either way? Not really.
Yeah.
When he's saying that he doesn't need money, he has plenty, I think he's being genuine. I think that the Hustlers University is more just validation that he's getting more control. I think for him, it truly is all about control. And every successful dollar he makes from that, every $50 he makes, is another person that just now told him that they truly believe and trust him.
I can see that angle too.
Brainwashing tactics the elite use on his own followers and living life like a reckless mafia boss? Or is this all just one long scheme for him to make another dollar and cure his boredom?
So that wraps that up.
Do me one solid. Let's go back to that channel. Let's hit that fat subscribe button for dude.
Yeah, he absolutely deserves that. Definitely hit the subscribe button. And once again, that's Patrick CC. And the other person that we shouted out was Criminal Lawyer Reacts, Bruce Rivers. Appreciate y'all watching. This is Tombstone Tourist. Go ahead, leave a comment what you think. Is Andrew Tate guilty? Is he innocent? Is he somewhere in between? Let us know your opinions and what you think. Do you rock with him? Do you not? Let us know. I'm Rugburn.
And I'm Pickled Landon. And don't forget, 100,000 likes and Rugburn here will sign up.
Absolutely. I will buy that Hustlers course if you guys give me 100,000 likes, and I will expose exactly what kind of snake oil is on that.